Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our webinar today. This is your Golden Bear Advising webinar on Econ and Pre-Haas schedule planning and advising. I'm Tim Cahill. I am an advisor at the College of Letters and Science, and we have really great partners with us today from the Department of Economics and from the Haas School of Business. So we're very excited to be presenting together today. And let me move on to the next slide here. I just wanted to kind of go over some housekeeping just right at the start. We are really encouraging you today to listen and reflect on what you're hearing and connect with us. And the way that you connect with us today is through the Q&A function. There is also a chat function, but we ask you to ignore the chat function today and just use the Q&A function within this webinar. Some of our goals today are just to help you get more insight onto which courses would make a lot of sense for you in your first term at Cal, and what the requirements are for Haas and for Econ, and hopefully give you a little bit more information. We know that right now you're working on your final assignments that are due on the 20th, and we're helping you along as college advisors through your B courses inbox and through our Zoom office hours. And this is just a supplement to that to help you kind of think through sections 3 and 4 of your final assignment so that you can really pick some good classes for yourself. And as I said, please direct all questions to the Q&A function that you'll find at the bottom of your screen and ignore the chat function. Just some housekeeping there. Thanks for being here today. Glad you're with us. So what are we up to today? What are we going to do? We are going to talk about the College of Letters and Science, what it is, some features of it. We're going to talk about economics major information and business major information, and then we'll end today with some Q&A. So when you put in your Q&As into the chat, into the Q&A function, not the chat function, we have these wonderful chatters that are going to be in the background answering your questions in real time. And then also we'll reserve some of your questions to be answered at the end live so that everybody can benefit from those questions. So that'll be towards the end. So what is L&S? What is Letters and Science at UC Berkeley? There are 6 colleges at UC Berkeley, and we are one of those 6, and we are far and away the largest of the 6, where there's about 23,000 undergraduates in our college. And that is made up of 38 really, really great departments. We're really proud of the departments that we have in L&S, and 80 plus majors. So why are there more majors than departments? Well, some departments offer more than one major, obviously, but another reason there are more majors than departments is that we partner with other colleges to offer a Bachelor's of Arts in something that might in their college be a Bachelor's of Science. So all degrees that you earn from our college would be a Bachelor's of Arts, a BA. And in other colleges, like College of Engineering or the College of Chemistry, you would find a Bachelor's of Science. That's what you would earn. So we have 5 different divisions within the College of Letters and Science, and through your liberal arts education, you will touch upon each of these divisions. Arts and Humanities is one, Biological Sciences is another, Math and Physical Sciences is another one, and then Undergraduate Interdisciplinary Studies is our 4th division, and Social Sciences is the last. And so these divisions, are kind of the umbrella over those 38 different departments. And in our office, in Letters and Science, in our advising office, we have what we call neighborhoods. So some of our advisors specialize in math and physical science. Some of us focus on arts and humanities, some on biological science, et cetera. So you will be kind of moved towards advisors through your GBA experience that have more expertise in things that you have stated that you're interested in. So for example, if you let us know at the very beginning that you're interested in biology as a major, you very likely will have a biological science neighborhood advisor in your GBA experience. We also encourage you really strongly to work with your major advisor, the major of interest that you have, and those advisors over there. So what is liberal arts? What does that mean, and how is that different than other colleges? besides, what I just mentioned about the different disciplines, you can think of us as offering more pure science as opposed to applied science. You can think of us as more broad-based breadth education, more traditional education. Like you think of the history of Western education, you would think about liberal arts. Other colleges might offer a more professional or vocational orientation towards your college experience. And we are more of kind of the breadth, as I said. So let's make sure that I didn't miss anything there. I wanted to make sure I saw all my notes here. Oh, I just wanted to say that students are all defaulted into the College of Letters and Science unless they were directly admitted from high school into a different college. So as it stands right now, you're all undeclared and you're all in Letters and Science. I wanted to kind of do a brief overview of the different kinds of advising that you can take advantage of while you're here at UC Berkeley. Obviously, you can come talk to one of us. Whether or not you're talking to somebody in your particular neighborhood, it doesn't really matter. All college advisors are generalists, and we can all answer your questions and direct you to people who can help you get to where you need to be. So L&S College Advisors, there's about 40 of us. And like I said, we're divided into neighborhoods, and we can help you with some of your needs in general around, like searching for a major, lower division program planning, graduation checks, degree checks. We can help you through academic difficulty. We can help you to clarify some policies that exist in the College of Letters and Science. So a lot of directing to other resources like career resources, or maybe the disabled student program, or maybe resources at the University Health Services, the Tang Center, things like that. So we are the hub of information. We may not know the exact answer to your question, but we certainly know how to get it for you and how to direct you. Another major set of advisors that you'll be working with while you're at Cal are your undergraduate major advisors. So these are often called UMAs. A major advisor works in the department that you're intended to go into or that you've declared into. So a major advisor would be a really great resource to talk to about the courses, the specific courses that are required for that particular major, or program planning in the upper division set of classes. So like I said, the lower division would be college, and the upper division would be more program planning from major advisors. Each department has its own kind of process for declaring. So an undergraduate major advisor would help you with the declaration process, help you with deadlines specific to that major, maybe give you research and internship opportunities specific to that major. So they know the granular information at the major level. And so they can help you prepare for graduate school as well. Do know that at University of California, Berkeley, the enrollment is done at the departmental level. So a major advisor is often the same person as an enrollment manager, but sometimes a department has its own enrollment manager, but certainly the major advisor can point you to that enrollment manager if you have questions about enrollment. And I'm sure you will as soon as you hit that moment of enrolling this term. So do know that enrollment is handled, like I said, at the departmental level, not at the college level. So we're going to refer you to guide.berkeley.edu to identify the contact information for your majors of interest so that they can answer some of your enrollment questions. A third kind of advisor that exists here on campus that is a really, really great resource for you, especially in these early years, are peer advisors. So peer advisors are students that have declared in a given major, the major that you're interested in, and they help you kind of walk through what it's like to be in that major, some of the specific granular details of what a given class is like, what a given teacher is like. And basically they are students on campus that have been trained to be advisors by staff. So instead of just getting hearsay from other of your peers, you can actually go to a peer advisor who's actually been trained and is paid by the university to give advice based on their training and their experience within the department itself. So they have firsthand knowledge of classes, and they're also available in the college. So we have peer advisors in the college, and many departments have peer advisors there as well. So take advantage of those appointments. And then finally, we have faculty advisors. So a faculty advisor could be as casual an interaction as just going to your GSI or your professor's office hours and seeking advice that way. It could be more formalized. Interdisciplinary study fields actually has a required faculty advisor that you work with for all the years that you're in the department. So faculty advisors are a really, really great relationship to forge, maintain, and establish. I would really encourage you to get to know professors and make them, work for you in terms of being mentors for you, but also advise you. They can help you with your intellectual development. They can help you understand the field a little bit better that they work in and that you might be interested in. And they can help you how to do research and obviously help you prepare for graduate school from the perspective of somebody who went all the way through. And so please do take advantage of not only office hours, getting to know the GSIs, getting to know your professors, but also try and find some mentors while you're at Cal at the faculty level, because they can be really valuable. They're the folks that are going to turn you on to that particular article or that kind of discipline or that lens through which you look at your discipline and the things that you're interested in. They might be turning you on to a research opportunity, things like that. So do get to know faculty. Today, I'm going to be introducing three folks. Carlos Garcia is from the Department of Economics. We're so happy that he's here today. He's the Assistant Director of Undergraduate Student Services over in Econ, and he'll be speaking about all the things that you need to know for your first semester as an potential econ major. And then we have Katie and Diana, both associate directors from the School of Business, Haas School of Business, and they're going to be talking about how to plan that best schedule for yourself for your first term at Cal if you're interested in Haas. So thanks to them for being here, and I'll hand it over to them in just 1 minute. I just wanted to talk, going back to the final assignment one more time. We were talking about the final assignment at the top today. You're working on those right now. They're due on the 20th. Turning them in early would be a really great idea. If you turn them in early, then a college advisor has more time to kind of go back and forth with you and help you refine it. So don't think of it as an assignment, even though it's called an assignment. Think of it as sort of like a conversation that you're having with us to help us help you find the best schedule for yourself in your first term. In general, a really great plan for somebody interested in econ and Haas. In general, a good sample schedule would be completing R&C in some way. So some of you have tested out of ELW, entry-level writing. Some of you have tested out of R1A, the first half of reading and composition. So depending on where you're at with testing, you can do one of 3 different reading and composition classes. But in general, doing some reading and comp in your first term would be a great idea. Tackling some math in your first term would be a great idea if you're headed towards Haas or Econ. The 16 series or the 1 series would be great choices. Taking a breadth class would be a great option for you in your first term, or hedging your bets and finding an alternate major prerequisite as well. Let's say you're also interested in poli-sci, you might want to grab a prereq for poli-sci as well. And then finally, a breadth class or a decal or a freshman seminar would be a really great way to round things out. We strongly recommend that you do 13 to 15 units in your first term at Cal. Don't overwhelm yourself unnecessarily. I talk to a lot of students who feel behind right out of the gate. Please relieve yourself of that stress. You are not behind. Regardless of where you're standing, you have 4 years, and believe it or not, it's all going to get done in those 4 years. So breathe some sigh of relief and kind of feel confident in the fact that you kind of checked off all your boxes and you got to Cal. Now that you're here, you can actually take some classes that you're super interested in and have some freedom to explore. So I just wanted to give you just a generalized sample schedule of some great first choices. I don't know if we're going to talk about math in specific a little bit later with the major advisors from Haas and Econ, but it's just useful to know that the math department, math.berkeley.edu, does have some really great resources to help you identify whether the 16 series or the 1 series would be best for you. All right, at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Carlos. Thanks so much for your time, and I'll be back with you all at the end for question and answer.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. So I will be giving off the presentation on behalf of Econ. So economics is considered a high demand major. Currently, we are the second largest major in the College of L&S, only behind computer science. We hover around anywhere between 1,400 to 1,600 declared majors. So we're rather large. What this high demand major identification means is that we are held to the policy of the high demand major policy, comprehensive review and stuff like that. I'm sure you've gotten many links, and we'll be talking about it throughout, and you'll be definitely getting more updates during your time here at Berkeley. So in order to get admitted and officially declared as an econ major, there are a few things that need to be completed on your path in order to for us to be able to declare you into the major. The first of which is the prerequisite course completion. So in the next slide, I'll be going over specific courses that we will look at in order to determine your eligibility to apply to the major. What this means is that you must complete these courses in order to get into the major. There is no getting into the major having only completed a partial amount or an incomplete amount of the prerequisites. We have to look at each category. Within these prerequisites, we are going to look at grades. The GPA requirement is a 2.0. That comes out to a C average. And it's a C average across the board, not a minimum of a C in each course. However, if you do get lower than a C, then obviously it brings your average down. What this 2.0, I apologize. What this 2.0 GPA means is that because we are now under the high demand policy set by the dean in the college, is that if you were admitted to Berkeley as intended economics, there is a spot reserved for you in the major, provided that you still meet certain conditions. Those conditions being that you complete the prerequisites, you earn the right about the GPA, and you complete them within a certain window of time. I will get to that shortly. For those that were admitted not as intended econ, you still are bound to these expectations. However, there is an extra layer to the application, meaning comprehensive review, which I believe is being finalized. So what does this mean for economics in particular? We're talking about all these courses. You're most likely coming in with AP credit, IB, A levels, and stuff like that. What does this all mean, and how do we calculate your major GPA? Well, you do receive credit for the specific AP exams. Say you get a 5 in the math BC or something like that, or you get a minimum of a 4 in the microeconomics and macroeconomics portion. What does this take care of for you? For those, we have the specific scores required and the specific tests on our website. But I can tell you right off the bat, if you got a 5 in microeconomics and macroeconomics, that is considered equivalent to Econ 1 as far as the Econ department is concerned. So we would basically check the box and say, this student who got a 5 in both of these AP exams has credit for Econ 1. When we review your transcripts, we see that and we say, okay, they have satisfied an equivalent to Econ 1. Therefore, we don't have to look why didn't they take a class here at Berkeley for Econ 1? When calculating your GPA, these AP, IB, A-level exams, the scores are not factored into your Econ GPA. The only courses that we will use to calculate your major GPA are the prerequisite courses, and I will be going into that in the next slide. The main thing to note for Econ is that if you have already tested out of these prerequisites, if you decide to take the courses here at Berkeley, we prioritize the grades earned here at Berkeley over the AP exams. So back to my example of, say you got a 5 in microeconomics and macroeconomics, but you decide to take Econ 1 here, that's totally fine. If you need a refresher or if you just want to get familiar with the material again, anything that you need. If you decide to take Econ 1 here at Berkeley, it must be taken for a letter grade, and we will prioritize it over your AP exam. So that means is if you get a C or a B or anything like that, that is the grade that we will use. We will no longer be looking at the scores that you received on the AP exams. All prerequisites must be taken for a letter grade. This is very, very important, and it hurts me when I see a student take a prerequisite for a pass, no pass, because that immediately rules the student ineligible to declare the major, and at which point we kind of have to tell them they can't declare, and we try to refer them to a different major. So be very careful and judicious over which classes you declare pass, no pass. I think that pass, no pass is a very good, useful tool to decide where You can prioritize your time and things of that nature, but do be careful when you do that, not only just for econ, because we share a lot of prerequisites with many different majors, Haas, data science, and stuff like that. Be very careful about which courses you pass and no pass, because that will affect your ability to declare a major. Econ is included. So for any of our prerequisites, they must be taken for a letter grade. Anything that you want to count towards the econ major in general will have to be taken for a letter grade. So the very last condition for admission into the major is the window of eligibility. I believe we are one of the few majors on campus that still maintain this. And I think the L&S college is kind of adopting this a little bit more widely. But for econ, we allow students up to their 5th semester or until they reach 80 units, whichever comes second, they are still eligible to apply to the major. What this means is your 5th semester is typically your 1st semester of your junior year. So if you are in your 6th semester and you're over 80 units, you're finishing your junior year and you attempt to apply to economics, we will say that you are ineligible. The main reason is because we're a high demand major, it's very competitive. We want students to be able to have a plan and make progress towards a major degree. We definitely hope that you select economics and you join the department and graduate with us. But ultimately, holistically, we see you as students. So we ultimately want you to succeed and graduate from Berkeley, even if it does not contain a degree from economics. And next, I will go into what the actual prerequisite courses are for admission. Cool. So here are the 5 elective. You'll have to take 5 courses in order to be eligible to apply to an economics major. These are the courses that we look at and the grades that we will be looking at in order to declare the major. Tim shared a sample schedule earlier, and I believe it is a great sample schedule, especially for that 1st semester. I myself was a former Berkeley student here. I was a transfer student. I've talked with many students in the past and still currently. That 1st semester is one of transition and adjustment. You are not only getting used to the speed and rigor of courses here at Berkeley, but also kind of understanding a new environment, a collegiate environment, and all that entails. So definitely recommend limiting your units to 13 to 15 and taking specific courses. So as far as econ is concerned, when we look at your application, we will be looking at these courses. What we require is 2 courses of calculus. We accept either Math 1A or Math 16A and Math 1B and Math 16B. So you'll have to take at least 1 in the A series, 1 in the B series. You can mix and match. So if you decide to take Math 16A, but then you realize that Math 1B serves your purposes better than Math 16B, then you can take Math 1B. So long as we see that there is a letter grade present from 1 class from the A series and 1 class from the B series, that's it. You'll have met the calculus requirement. The next requirement is Introduction to Economics requirement. We offer Econ 1 or Econ 2. I believe the primary difference is Econ 2 may offer an extra hour of lecture and may incorporate a little bit different work. Now, you'll notice an asterisk next to this requirement. We do not recommend taking either of these courses during your 1st semester at Berkeley. I know that many of you, as Berkeley students, are tremendously brilliant and smart and overachievers and very, very capable of performing very, very well. However, there is a reason we put this out here is through experience and through history, right? The reason that we don't recommend it, we don't restrict it as far as I am aware, but we don't recommend it is mainly because we combine both microeconomics and macroeconomics into one course. Almost every community college and most of the other universities that I've seen and have heard of, they separate these 2 topics. Whereas Berkeley goes above and beyond. We like to combine the 2 topics and say, hey, you're going to learn it anyway. Here it is in 1 semester. So you're going to be learning a huge depth of knowledge and also pretty fast because it's only 1 semester. So taking that your 1st semester can kind of be a little bit challenging, more than usual classes. So we don't recommend taking it your 1st semester here. However, we don't have a restriction, but however, do understand that if you take it your 1st semester and you don't do as well, say you get like a C- or something like that, you get a grade that you don't want, there will be complications later in terms of if you want to replace the grade. If you get a C- or above, you will not be able to replace the grade as far as econ is concerned. So then that will obviously bring down your GPA average and will make it more demanding of other prerequisite courses. The next prerequisite course that's necessary for admission is our statistics course. The lowest that we will accept is Stat 20. I know that there are AP courses and community colleges that offer statistics courses. In my experience, most of those are equivalent to Stat 2, which we do not accept for the Econ major requirement specifically. The most minimum that we take is Stat 20. Stat 21 is offered in the summer. If you are potentially considering double majoring in data science or want a data science minor, then I would recommend looking into the data science courses, Data C88S, and I believe Stat 140 is also cross-listed as Data C140, but that could be reserved for later. And then the final requirement is actually one of our core courses. These are also our major requirements. So one course of the intermediate economic theory course. So the A series, Econ 100A and 101A, delve into microeconomics. The B series delves into macroeconomics, and 140 and 141 deals into econometrics. Now, the primary difference between 100A and 101A, and the same goes for 100B, 101B, the 140 and 141, is that the 101 series is much more math intensive and much more research intensive. These are more difficult versions of the 100 series, mainly because they are preparation tools if you are considering doing a PhD in economics. What we recommend personally is to take one course in the 100 series first, so that way you know that you meet the prerequisites, you meet the GPA, you get admitted into the major, and then you take the 101 series or the 141 series to prep for graduate school. Both of these courses are weighted equally on the major application. So if you take 101A, it's not that you get more leniency or anything. A C in 101A counts the same as a C in 100A for us when we are reviewing applications. Cool. And so then I can go into the next slide, which is our sample schedule. So similar to the sample schedule that Tim provided, we are only covering the prerequisites that Econ is concerned with. So definitely recommend the overall sample schedule that L&S has provided. Like I said before, the only courses that Econ is looking at are the specific prerequisites that we require. So the R&C requirement is very important. Breadth requirements are very important. However, Econ is not going to be concerned with your grade and breadth requirements. We are concerned with your grades in the prerequisites. So your first semester, we strongly recommend taking Math 1A or Math 16A, kind of get your bearings, good to freshen up on calculus and things of that nature. Once you get your footing in the second semester, we recommend the B series, and then taking Econ 1 or Econ 2. In the third semester, we recommend taking that stat course, so that way you are refreshed with calculus, and then so you can introduce some statistics to your requirements, and then taking that intermediate theory course. Excuse me. So this is what we recommend for the first 2 years. Obviously, the first and second semester are your freshman year, third and fourth are your sophomore year. Excuse me. And so, as we said before, your AP exam credit will be used to test out of certain things. We still stand by, even if you tested out of the Math 1A or Math, if you tested out of Math 1A and Math 1B and you really want to take Econ 1 your first semester, because you're already so far ahead, we strongly recommend to maybe potentially take classes for alternative majors, maybe explore a little bit and still kind of wait to take Econ 1 or Econ 2 your second semester. We actually do have a restriction that first-term freshmen are not allowed to take upper division courses. So upper division courses are classes that are listed 100 and above. So for us, 100A, 100B, 140, you will not be allowed to register for those, primarily because these are intended for upperclassmen, and they are much more intensive and more in-depth than introductory courses such as Econ 1 or Econ 2. And so we do provide sample schedules and major requirements on our website. We also provide the test scores and test exams that we accept. As I said before, I wouldn't recommend being in a rush. If you come in with 40 AP credits or 0 AP credits, like Tim said, you are coming in, you've got the same 4 years, you're going to make your progress. Don't let impatience impede your progress. So we strongly recommend this sample schedule, and we hope that you take heed. We can move on to the next slide. Cool. So what is the timeline for our economics major application? Our personal major application right now is very simple. It's a Google form. I think it's about 5 to 6 questions. It doesn't take very long. The time in which you should be applying is you should apply during the same semester in which you are finishing your last prerequisite. So your first semester freshman year, I strongly doubt you'll have finished all the prerequisites. In fact, I don't think you will be able to. You're not gonna apply before all your prerequisites are done. Only apply when the prerequisites are the last one is in progress. But typically our timeline, our application opens up at the beginning of the semester, and then by the end of week 5, our application closes. And then we actually notify students via email 2 to 3 weeks after grades are due, because we still have a GPA. We still have a GPA requirement, so we need to check that you took the right courses and that you met the GPA requirement. So for that, we have to wait for grades, and grades only come out at the end of the semester. And once again, to reiterate, any prerequisite in economics must be taken for a letter grade. If we see a pass, no pass in Math 1A, Math 1B, anything like that, it's an immediate ineligibility ruling. So if you take Math 1A and if you take Math 1A in your first semester here, you pass, no pass it, and then you say, oh, well, I can make it up taking Math 16A in my second semester, that does not work. We take your first passing attempt of a prerequisite. So if we see Math 1A taking, as your first calculus course, and you take it for pass, no pass, we see that's ruled ineligible for the major. It sounds a little harsh, but because we are so large and we have so many students, we do have to provide some sort of cutoff and ensure that students are able to succeed in the major and be adequately prepared for success in the major. Thank you. So you can definitely find more information on our website, econ.berkeley.edu. Our website is not the prettiest to look at, but it is very informative. We are currently going to be updating it and hopefully providing a more streamlined way of communicating with students and advertising, but all the information is there. If you have any questions, you could definitely email us, and only email us at ugrad@econ.berkeley.edu. As much as I love talking with students, and our advising staff is a very friendly group of people, we ask that students do not email us directly. Only contact us through this ugrad@econ.berkeley.edu, and you can definitely expect a response from us within about 1 to 2 days, depending on the time period in the semester. Our modes of advising, currently over the summer, our advising staff is offering appointments remotely. Starting in the fall, we will have both in-person and virtual appointments. Obviously, this was adapted from practices from the pandemic, but upon surveying students afterwards, they found that it's about a 50-50 split in terms of preference between virtual and in-person, mainly because I'm hoping for, greater accessibility, ease of access. You can kind of roll out of bed, hop into your advising appointment instead of, coming all the way down to Evans and having to endure that building. So the way to schedule our appointments is on our advising page. We use a software called You Can Book Me. We do not book appointments through Cal Central. We have not done that for a little over a year now. We will probably not do that in the future. So anytime you want to book an appointment with us, please do look at our website. We also offer drop-in advising. These are set specific hours during the week, and they are advertised also on the website when will be available. The drop-in advising will be advertised as either virtual only or in-person only. And if it's virtual only, we just have a simple check-in page, and then you will be given a link, and we will meet just like this over Zoom, and an advisor will be happy to talk to you. The same thing goes for the virtual front desk. The virtual front desk and in-person front desk is actually handled by the peer advisors. So Tim mentioned earlier that one of the different types of advisors is peers. We love having peer advisors. I think they are vital to our mode of advising, and I definitely treasure them and value their perspective, especially as current students. They have gone what you are going through of like, am I going to make it? How do I get to this major? What's my strategy? And things of that nature. These current students can definitely offer great insight into course combinations, timings, and stuff like that. Whereas the advising staff are more experts in the bureaucratic policy and stuff like that, the more nuanced stuff. Students can definitely offer a more involved perspective into what it actually feels like to take certain econ classes at Berkeley. And lastly, the peer advisors will be available. They do have an email, peers-econ@berkeley.edu. Currently, we do not have any peer advisors over the summer because they're on summer break, but we will have peer advisors throughout the academic year, both fall and spring. So with that said, I believe that is all the information for economics. I will be available for questions and stuff like that when there's time for it. But in the meantime, I will hand it off to our Haas associates.
Thanks to Diana and Katie for being here. Take it away.
Hello, I'm Diana, and I'm super excited to get us started off with the Haas School of Business admission requirements. So we're going to just dive right in with our eligibility requirements to apply to the business major here at Berkeley. So these are a list of the classes that you can take, well, that you need to take in order to be eligible to apply to the major. First off, we have the Principles of Business here at UC Berkeley. That is UGBA 10. It's a very fabulous class. And then another prerequisite class we have is we need you to take 2 semesters of calculus. So it's very similar to the Econ major requirements. You can either do 16A and 16B, or you could do 1A and 1B. And you could also mix and match if you like. The next is Intro to Economics. You can either do Econ 1 or Econ 2. We'll accept either. And then statistics. As you can see, there are a lot of different options for statistics. Some of the most popular ones I see are Stat 20 or Stat 21. I would like to point out that a lot of times you might see Stat W20 or W21. We get a lot of questions about that. Students will ask if we'll accept that as well. Yes, we will. It is the same class. It's just taught on the web. That's what the W stands for. So if you ever see like a prefix in front of a class number like that, it often means just the modality of how it's taught. So that's a question we get a lot. And then the last prerequisite course I want to mention, we want you to take 2 semesters of the reading and composition, or otherwise known as R1A and R1B. So this can be reading and composition, but you will find that there are many different classes that count for the R1A and R1B requirements. So it can be an equivalent. It doesn't have to be English. And there's a whole webpage dedicated to all the different equivalent courses in this category. So a couple of other things you should know about eligibility requirements. You want to take these classes for a letter grade, similar to the econ major, right? Don't take these prerequisite classes pass, no pass. You want to take them for a letter grade. The other important thing is you want to earn a C- or better in these classes. And another thing about these prerequisite courses, once you're here at UC Berkeley, all of the prerequisites that you have yet to take must be completed at UC Berkeley. So if you completed some of them at a community college level or, AP, IB credit, okay, that's fine. But once you get here, you got to take these prerequisites here at UC Berkeley. There is an exception to that, and the exception is the R1A and R1B requirements. So you can take that at a community college if you want to do that while you're here at UCB. That's fine. And then the other thing you should know is another eligibility requirement is you must have 60 semester units completed by the end of the spring prior to your anticipated start date. So if you are planning on starting the business major fall of 2025, for example, then by the end of spring semester 2025, you got to have 60 semester units completed. And then same with all these prerequisites. The spring prior to your anticipated start semester, you got to have all these prerequisites completed as well.
All right, so I will take it away here for our AP, IB, and A-level exam credit. So students with exam credit may be exempt from certain admissions requirements. I would definitely double check with our office or consult with our website. We have all of our information there. But just to give you guys a simple rundown, for the AP classes, usually we're accepting the English APs, math, and economics. For the IBs, it's also English, math, and economics. Please note that statistics is not listed on there. It is not one of the AP IB or A-level exam credits that we accept. Let's see here. So if you go to our website, we do have this link here. I think we have someone who's about to drop that in the chat for you for convenience, but please be sure to bookmark this page. There's a lot of information on it. I do encourage you to scroll down to the bottom. You will notice a couple accordion drop downs, and that's where you're going to see the specific information about exam credit, what we accept, what we don't accept. So that could be a good way for you to start that conversation with yourself. And exam credit counts towards the 60 semester units, 90 quarter unit requirement. So do know you might have other exams that you've taken in other subjects. They can be evaluated and applied to your university and breadth requirements. But please know for Haas that we don't have any breadth requirements. We're really concerned in only looking at those 7 prerequisites that Diana just previously mentioned.
All right, thank you. So let me go ahead and continue on with some schedule planning. And I went ahead and dropped 2 links just before. One of them is this fabulous, we have a fabulous document that helps you kind of write out and plan out the classes you want to take in these next few years as you prepare. And that's the first link I dropped. And then the second link I dropped was the one that Katie and I were referring to with the eligibility requirement. So let's talk through it a little bit. So most students apply during the spring of their sophomore year. That's when they apply to the business major. I've seen a lot of questions in the chat asking if I have the eligibility requirements completed before then. Can I apply before? The answer is no. You have to wait until the spring of your sophomore year to apply to the business major. You can also apply to the business major spring of your junior year. So if you need a little bit more time to get your eligibility requirements completed, you can do that as well. All right, so let's go through it. This is just a sample schedule. You might not do it this way. Maybe you've already completed some of these requirements and you don't have to do some of them. Or, you know, maybe you get waitlisted and you have to bump one of the courses you plan to take your first year over to your sophomore year. That's okay. But as you can see, it's kind of similar to what Carlos was talking about earlier, what with making sure that you are being well balanced when you're deciding what classes to take, and you want to consider the difficulty level, whether it's quantitative or qualitative. But here you can see these are the different things you can take. So you can do, we suggest doing calculus your first year, along with the R1A and R1B requirements. Principles of business is also something we really recommend to do your first year. And then as you get more into the swing of things with the rigor of UC Berkeley courses, we recommend Econ and statistics in your sophomore year. Something I would like to point out is that it is possible to be waitlisted for one of these prerequisite courses. So do your best not to save a large number of prerequisites for your last semester, right? You want to space them out. And we like to know that students have that peace of mind just in case you get waitlisted for any of these courses.
Thanks, Diana. All right, so application selection criteria. I know y'all probably have lots of questions about what we're looking for, what makes a Haas student stand out. So here's a little bit of a breakdown of all of the elements of the application that we're looking at. First and foremost, our grades and coursework. This is probably going to be the heaviest evaluation. We're really looking at your performance in those prerequisite classes. That's first and foremost, that's the main evaluation. We're looking for consistency in overall academic performance. As Diana mentioned, we're looking for that C or better in all prerequisite courses. And then I do want to let you know that we do have access to your other grades. We do see your other grades just to see how you're doing overall, but that the main evaluation will be focused on those prereqs. There's also a resume element. This is an opportunity for you to tell us about what you've been involved in. It's showing leadership potential, levels of responsibility, impact, time commitment, and consistency. So you're able to detail out what you've been doing in each of the positions that you've held, or clubs or activities that you've been a part of. You're able to show us how many hours per week that you're spending in each of those endeavors. I think something I like to stress to students is that you do not have to be involved in business-related activities in order to be a strong applicant for Haas. We actually really want to see who you are, and your choices and what you get involved with actually show a deeper context to who you are as a person and what you would bring to Haas. So I encourage you to join anything on campus that inspires you, that you're passionate about. If it's business related, that's great. If not, no worries. The main thing that we're looking for is, did you take the opportunity to be a leader? Did you try to grow your responsibilities? Maybe you've been working at In-N-Out, for example, but you had the opportunity to be a shift manager. And so that's demonstrating the sort of growth that we're looking for, and also the hunger to try to have more responsibility and leadership, giving it ultimately an impact. Another portion of the application that we're looking for are essays. So a big part of this section is authenticity. I think something I really like to harp to students is show who you are. Do not tell me who you are. So make sure that you're maybe looking at other parts of your application. You know, you already did grades and resume. This is an opportunity to show yourself in a different way that you didn't get to in those two sections of the application. So if you guys are aware, we do have some defining leadership principles. Get familiar with those. Those are great prompts for you to start your essays and sort of think about what you would want to write about. And definitely answer the prompt that we are specifically asking as well in the question. And finally, there is a video interview. This part of the application is optional, so you're not obligated to participate. I would say, though, it is an excellent opportunity, again, to give another level of detail, to express who you are and what you're bringing to the table as a Haas applicant. So I know you might be nervous. I know it's incredibly nerve-wracking to get on screen the moment you hit record. Your whole demeanor can change. But please know that we're not looking on whether or not you're nervous and taking away points because you may have stuttered over a word or didn't say it perfectly clear. We're really actually, again, looking for the concepts, the perspectives that you bring to the table, who you are as a person. We're not going to evaluate you on that performance, and do know that if you mess up, you have a second opportunity to try. If you really don't like what's on screen, you can always let us know. We can remove it from your application. One thing I do want to impress before I pass this back to Diana is do not script. Again, we're looking for authenticity. I know there's like a desire to come across perfect and professional, but I would really challenge you to speak authentically and to not write anything down. Really speak from the heart and show who you are in that video interview.
Fantastic. Thank you for elaborating on the application process, Katie. And now we'll talk about the timeline of the application process. So, as I mentioned earlier, it is going to be the spring of your sophomore or junior year when you apply. So March 1st of your sophomore or junior year, that's when the online application opens. So you have a whole month to get this application completed. April 1st is the application deadline at 4 p.m. Pacific time. My biggest recommendation is to get started on that application once it opens, and do not wait until the last minute to get it complete. You don't know what kind of technical difficulties might take place. Perhaps you have some questions. You're going to want to give yourself plenty of time to get it all complete, because if you have last minute questions, guess what? All the other students who are applying are also asking their questions last minute. And we also don't accept late applications. Even if your power went out in that last minute that you were submitting your application. So really give yourself plenty of time. And now the last thing I'm going to say is you'll get your admission decision on mid-June. So that's when you find out if you're admitted to the major. And as you can see, it's okay to have courses in progress for the spring that you're applying, right? But we do want to see as many letter grades for the prerequisites completed as possible. So like I said earlier, try not to save them all till that last semester. Thank you.
Thanks, Diana. All right. And so, you know, you guys got a lot of information today. I really encourage you to go on our website and become fully versed with all of our information and materials that are on the webpage. Start to answer those questions for yourself, but surely something's going to come up where you're not quite clear. And so this is the best way to reach out to us and contact us to continue the conversation if you're not able to get the information you need on the website. So right up top there is our website, haas.berkeley.edu/undergrad. We also have an email. This is an email that goes to our entire department. We all help tackle the questions that are coming in. So do know this is the best place to send any questions about the application, admissions, anything to do with Haas. We also have a phone number, so feel free to give us a call if you want to just get someone on the phone quickly. And then also we have an Instagram, which is a great way just to kind of understand a little bit more about our community, our culture. You can kind of see a little bit in depth about the students and what they're doing with their time here. It kind of helps inspire you, maybe start to think a little bit more about your application and how you want to gear it. Finally, we have virtual advising appointments. So again, there's a link here on the Haas website under pre-admissions advising. You will be able to find a place where you can sign up for an appointment with us. These are 15-minute appointments. They're pretty quick, but it could be a good way to double check, just make sure you're on the right track, get any clarifications that you might need. And then also not mentioned here, we are on campus. We also have an office. So we do have days that you can stop by. On our website, you can also see what days we're closed, just so you don't stop by and don't have anyone to connect with. But we are excited to connect with you and answer questions as they come up.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much to my colleagues, Diana, Katie, and Carlos from Haas and Econ. Thanks so much for joining us today and for asking questions and answering them and giving us a good overview. Now is the time to kind of do our Q&A section. So I noted that in the Q&A, there are some questions that have been kind of held so that we can ask them live. So let's do that now. I hear from Joseph Chow that says, a question that says, can I apply for both Haas and Econ at the same time in my sophomore year? Anybody can take that.
So I can answer from the econ side. I would say absolutely. So long, to me, declaring two different majors, so long as you're following both the independent procedures set by each major. So for anybody interested in econ, they will have to follow our rules and policies and stuff like that. And anytime a student says, I'm also interested in Haas and data science, whatever, so long as you are following what they set up and what they require, you are definitely able to do so. Your application in Haas will not affect your application to Econ in any way. And I'm assuming something similar for basically any major, but I could be corrected.
Yes, I just want to confirm it's the same on the Haas side as well. We encourage you to have a backup plan in case you're not able to get into Haas. So do apply to the majors that you think would be a fit for you. And I do just want to mention as a side note, we also allow simultaneous degree with Haas. So if you are interested, simultaneous degree is our way of saying double major. So if you do want a double major, you have our blessing in Haas. You just need to make sure you're connected with the other college and getting what you need on their end to complete that process.
Thanks, y'all. This is a specific question for Haas. Just to clarify, if we have fulfilled the Math 1A prereq through AP testing, will we have to take the course again to apply to Haas?
I can go ahead and answer that. So as you can see on the application process website that we shared in the chat, you can test out of the first semester of calculus or the Math 1A requirement if you get a 3, 4, or 5 on the AP test. So go ahead and double check, and you can look at all of the different tests that may qualify and the different scores. You want to make sure you look at the actual score as well, because it's different for each requirement.
Thank you. Jasmine says, I want to take classes for macroeconomics, maybe as my concentration in applied math. Do you have any recommended courses that I can take next semester? So in other words, are there any pieced out classes where macro and micro are in two separate ways delivered in different classes?
For economics, we actually have a list of accepted courses and electives that would count towards econ. I don't know if there is other departments that also provide other macroeconomics specific courses. However, I can put this link in the chat. I believe we have a couple electives. So I know that Econ 100B is specific in economics with 101B, and I believe Haas offers UGBA 101B. Econ as a department offers 2 electives that specify economics in their title. That is specifically Economics 106, Advanced Macroeconomics, and Economics 134. That is Macroeconomic Policy from the Great Depression to today. I don't know of the frequency of when they are offered, but those are macroeconomics centered courses that I am aware of.
Yeah, and just keep in mind, y'all, that upper division work is not something that you would do in your first year at Cal. Generally speaking, there are some upper division classes that work, but something like what Carlos is talking about would definitely be something that you'd wait to try out. Yara says, are prereqs completed at community colleges looked down upon in comparison to courses completed at Cal? This could be for either department.
I wouldn't mind answering that. It's not that they're looked down upon. It's just that after you come to UC Berkeley, we want you to be used to taking the courses at UC Berkeley that are comparable to the upper division courses you may be taking when you're in major. So it's definitely not looked down upon. We have assist.org so that you can make sure they're the right equivalencies and things of that nature.
Great, thank you so much. This is a question probably for both of you, and it's about the concept of comprehensive review, which is new with this high demand policy. I encourage students to look at the admissions website for high demand policy. If you just do UC Berkeley admissions high demand, a Google search for that, or you can do that on our website, L&S Advising. You can find a lot more information on that. If any of the chatters want to put that into the chat, that would be fine. For comprehensive review, what is the student's holistic score? I don't totally understand that question, but maybe you all could just talk about comprehensive review in general for each of your departments.
Sure, so I can go first on the side of economics. So the comprehensive review is something that we are still learning about as being dictated to us by the college and the dean. The comprehensive review, as far as my understanding goes, is that it will include about 1 to 2 short essays, a review of your transcripts, maybe a CV or a resume. And I believe your your read score is something that was determined when you first applied to Berkeley, when your application was looked at holistically. When comprehensive review actually happens, it is important to note that there is a certain change that for economics specifically, up until now and at least into the next year or so, the economics department, the economics advisors have actually been handling applications and admissions internally. But now any student that is going to apply through comprehensive review, meaning they were admitted to Berkeley as non-intended econ majors, they were admitted through a different major, they have to go through this comprehensive review. This will actually not be handled by the Department of Economics. We determine eligibility, but as far as the person that's actually reading your application to the major, I believe it's going to be handled by the Office of Admissions, as far as I'm aware, as far as the latest update from our dean.
Thank you, Carlos. Let's go to our last question quickly. What is the percentage acceptance rate into econ and business?
You go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to assume that I'm just always going first, but I'm happy to do so. So for econ, because things are changing, before there's a whole lot of things. Anyways, before, the way to get into the major was very clear cut, and you had just had to meet certain conditions and you were guaranteed into the major. Now with this new high demand major policy, the trade-off is that you are admitted with a reserve spot already in mind. And those that did not have the reserve spot now have to go through this comprehensive review. So there's not a guarantee to come into the major. Beforehand, with that guarantee, students kind of already knew beforehand because they already knew their GPA, they knew the requirements of them. So the admission rate is a little misleading because we haven't gone through this comprehensive review part yet. We don't actually have the numbers for those. Through our most recent application process, I can tell you that roughly about 66% of applicants were admitted into the econ major. However, these were students that were not held under this new high demand major policy. These were held to our previous existing policy, in which they just had to meet 3 conditions, meaning earn a specific GPA, but for us it was 3.0. Complete the prerequisites, the same prerequisites that I talked about, and then applying within their window of eligibility, which is maintaining the same up to their 5th semester.
Great. And for Haas, I will say it is different every year, but we say about 30% usually. I did drop the class profile in the chat so that people can look at that. Upon doing that, I realized that our application process website that I put in earlier, actually I put in the wrong chat. So I'm going to put that down there for you, and then you can see more on the eligibility requirements and the exam credit.
Thanks so much, Diana.
To.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. And thank you all for joining us today. All of this recording will be available on our YouTube channel in 5 to 7 business days, and you can check us out at UC L&S Advising. Thanks so much for coming today. Appreciate y'all.